Good morning. It's not morning. It's 12:05. I've been a bit rubbish this morning. The thing about daily vlogging is it doesn't really matter whether you feel inspired or not, or there's anything you need to show, because it's tough because you have to do it anyway. So here we are.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlogmas.
I'm just listening to the cricket, the England-Sri Lanka game. There is 1 over left. England need to get 2 runs. They've lost 2 wickets in the last 2 overs. They should still do it, but it's like, God, they make you work for it. Christ. Anyway, yes, I've had a few YouTube problems this morning with trying to upload yesterday's video. It'll get there. It will have got there by the time you saw this, but apologies if you were expecting it sooner and it arrived later. It wasn't YouTube's fault, it was iMovie's fault. It was being slightly awkward, but it's all resolved now. We're moving forwards. So all these promises about finer weather today haven't really materialised into much. The sun has come out occasionally, but it's still windy and grey and cold, so not convinced we'll necessarily see the outdoors, but who knows, you might get lucky. So you've had so much Christmas and light-hearted banter in these vlogs that I worry that you might have missed some sort of completely unjustifiable rant from me. So, you know, it is now the 6th day of Vlogmas, and on the 6th day of Vlogmas, Toby gave to you a huge rant. so brace yourself. The CIA's report into torture by the Senate's report into torture by the CIA came out the other day, and since then there seems to be an argument about it. The only argument there should be is how anybody let this happen. Frankly, whether it's justified or not is not an argument. There is laws that prohibit it, and there is international human rights that prohibit this kind of action. They might not be legally enforceable, but they certainly are morally enforceable. And now the former vice president, a man so astute that he shot someone in the face by mistake, is saying that President Bush was fully aware of this, which means that presumably he's guilty of a human rights violation, if not a law. So enough with this. There are cases when you need and blah, blah, blah. Finding excuses why you might be able to get away with torture. It's not acceptable. Never is. Not by anybody. Not because your enemy's doing it. There's no reason for it at all. It's just unacceptable. Flat out. Somebody's responsible and somebody needs to be brought to justice. That's all there is. That's the only issue. Everything else is bullshit. So, there we go. Completed a rant in under a minute and a half. Very proud of myself. Moving on now. It's 3 o'clock and therefore the sun is about to set. So I figured it might be nice to go for a bit of a dusk walk, even though lunch has only just concluded. But that's just the nature of winter, isn't it? As I said, I'm going back into Teddington this evening because I have a board meeting. And this will be the 6th or 7th time I've been in Teddington in the last 3 weeks, I think. There's only one more to go before the end of the year, which is next Tuesday's Christmas dinner, which is actually not in Teddington, frankly, but it's with RHP. It's just it's in Kingston at Warren House. I think I've shown you that before. It's a very beautiful house just outside Kingston. Yes, I've been in lots of times so far. Been in Chairs Liaison meeting, 2 interviews, a board meeting for Co-op Homes, 2 sets of interviews, I should say, a complaints process and a training day. And today is another board meeting, only this time for the parent company. What does a board meeting involve, you may ask? Well, we get sent a huge agenda. We get it digitally now, sent to an iPad, which is much better than the huge thick books we used to get. And go through each item, and we comment on it and ask questions. If they're clarifications, we try and ask them ahead of the meeting. And then we ask questions at the meeting, try and scrutinise the plans and whatnot, and make sure that we're all happy with the direction the company's going in and the strategy is developed for the next few years for house building and whatnot. And then that's it. And it usually takes about 2 hours. But it's really good practice in trying to think strategically and long term about both, you know, the operation of a company and the cash flow of an organisation, and, you know, just what it wants to be about, its entire purpose, really. And it's encouraging, sitting on the board that I do. It's such a It's a far more forward-thinking company than the one I used to work for, and it cares much more deeply about both people it provides services for and the people it employs. It's kind of, I would point people at it if they wanted to get an idea of how it should be done. Then it's feel very proud to sit on the board, and I know everyone else who sits on the board feels like that as well, but that doesn't mean we sit there and all pat each other on the back. Far from it. We usually sit there and argue over the points about, is this going to work? Is this the right direction? Have we thought this through properly? So it's very constructive. Anyway, that's what I will be doing this evening. So far, everybody that I need to buy for has got at least one Christmas present, but they do vary somewhat in quality and quantity, so there is more work to be done. So I'm going to have a look through Teddington when I get in later this evening. But the real problem is that nobody has provided me with much in the way of ideas or lists or anything, so I'm working a little bit blind, which wouldn't normally be too much of a problem, but this year we're trying to be a bit more budget savvy with Christmas presents. We've got an unlimited budget, or the limit is as much money as you have. It's much easier to buy things. Whereas by restricting the budget, obviously it's very good for my wallet, but it's not so good for my brain, because you have to really think about things. What can you get? As soon as you have a budget, certain things are immediately out of the question, like large electronics goods, expensive jewellery, these kind of things. They all sort of vanish. So you have to rethink. But we're getting there. It's better than last year. Could be better still. Let's see how we are in a week. Hopefully we've moved on somewhere from this point. Made it to Teddington. Bus was full and late. Let's see what wonders we have here to potentially purchase before we get to the board meeting. Another very productive board meeting. Only lasted 2 hours 45 minutes. That's not bad actually. It was a huge agenda. Got through all of it, including some reasonably big changes, and I suppose you'd say it might have been it got to the point where we had agreed them, but still a little bit of controversy around some of them, certainly with some members. So it's nice to be able to move forward now that we've agreed certain changes and see where we go. Just checking I haven't missed the bus. So there we go. That was my brain exercise for 2014, pretty much concluded, I would say. So yes, we've got a Christmas dinner next Tuesday, and that's the last RHP thing I've got until February, I think. They're trying to get me to go to a conference, which I may do, to be honest. Anyway, thank you for watching, as always. It's a pleasure to have you here for this ridiculous exercise that is Vlogmas, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe.
Toby, stupid vlog.